Welcome to season 2019. The Bendigo Umpires Association has had a huge start to the season with the implementation of 7 new rules. I'm here today to explain the new rules so that you can follow the decisions being made and understand the interpretations of our favourite game. But there are 2 new rules at the AFL that you won't see in Central Victoria this year, being the 666 rule and the trainer water carriers rule. Once the goal umpire signals are behind, the fullback must have their 2 feet inside the goal square. The player may now dispose of the ball traditionally by foot or leave the goal square and either handball or kick the ball. Once one of the player's feet have completely crossed the goal line, then the umpire will call play on. If the player delays from leaving the square and the umpire calls play on, the player can either kick or handball from within the goal square. If the player fails to enter the square correctly or leaves the square incorrectly, then the umpire will reset the play. In season 2019, the man standing the mark from a kick out from behind will now position themselves 10 metres from the top of the goal square. In season 2018, that was only 5 metres. There will now be a protection area that extends from the behind posts and out 10 metres past the end of the goal square, which equals 19 metres. No one is allowed to stand in this zone. If players have not yet exited the protection area, then opposition players must be passive and attempt to leave the area. The definition of passive includes having your arms up, attempting to leave the protection area, or not impacting on the player with the ball. The penalty for entering the protection area or being active within the area is a 50-metre penalty from the man on the mark, which equals 69 metres from the scoring line. In season 2019, if the ball bounces before the boundary line out of bounds without being touched, it would be a boundary throw-in unless the umpire deems it to be an act of time wasting or deliberate out of bounds. If a mark or free kick is paid within 9 metres of the defensive scoring line, then the umpire will advance the mark in line with the end of the goal square, which is 9 metres from the scoring line. So this line applies straight across the field to the boundary on either side of the goal square. Anywhere else on the field, the old rule applies for out on the full, that once you enter the field of play, the umpire will call play on. Players are allowed to feel for their player in a marking contest, but as soon as the arms are extended, then that is paid as push in the back. This is not really any different to the BUA's interpretation to marking contests last year. A free kick will also be paid in a marking contest for any interference with the arms, including pushes, bumps, blocks or holds. Players can initially be set up off their line, but must kick before crossing their line with the mark. The umpire will set the mark and allow the player with the ball to start offline across the boundary. They'll be able to use the check kick as long as they kick on or before the line of their mark. If the player goes past the mark and improves their angle, the umpire will call play on and no score will be recorded and the quarter will finish. If the ruckman takes possession of the ball out of the ruck, it is no longer deemed prior opportunity. It is also not a requirement to have the ruckman nominate for the ruck by putting their hand in the air, as long as the umpire is sure who is the ruck for this contest. Again, this is not very different to the BUA's interpretation in season 2018. Players should not set themselves up behind the umpire in a centre square or field throw-up. The field umpire will clear the area. If a player makes contact with an umpire, a free kick will be paid. The player with the free kick may now play on at any stage after the 50-metre penalty has been awarded to them. If they want to advance their mark 50 metres, they must run in line with the middle of the goalpost. If they deviate from that line, the umpire will call play on, or they can advance past the umpire right up to the 50 metres and stop for the umpire to set the new mark. Whilst the 50-metre penalty is being advanced, no other player can be within the protection area of 10 metres either side or 5 metres behind the player with the ball. As we know, playing, coaching and umpiring Aussie rules is probably the most trickiest of any sport in the world. These new 7 rules that are being adopted in season 2019 makes the umpire's job even that little bit harder. Thank you for giving me your time, and we hope you enjoy watching the work from our dedicated umpires at the BUA.